Now,
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:07. It's O'Connor and Company this Wednesday morning. Got a lot to talk about, including the results of yesterday's primaries. Big headline, Jamal Bowman goes down in a crushing, humiliating defeat. But there's more from yesterday's election. We'll give you those details coming up. Also at 6:35, Cal Thomas will join the conversation. 7:05, Angela Morabito, Defense of Freedom Institute. 8:05, Riley Gaines on yesterday's rally and her brand new book. And then at 8:35, London Roberts. She is the mother of Hunter Biden's child that Joe Biden won't acknowledge. Oh, there you go. That's a story. That's coming up at 8:35. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Patrice Onwuka here on a Wednesday for our vacationing colleague Julie Gunlock. Hey, Patrice.
Hey, good morning.
You're chair dancing. That's my favorite kind of dancing, too.
This is MJ. This is Michael Jackson.
I know. You love it when we get the...
This is his best album, by the way. Maybe people will question
right.
that, but...
Let's recalibrate Patrice's microphone here as I set up this next story, if we could, because her voice is coming in the wrong direction. All right, Henry Rogers, a great reporter here in Washington, D.C., who works at the Daily Caller, has a very important article here, and I hope it gets picked up elsewhere. DNC sent millions to law firms behind unprecedented Lawfare campaign against Trump. Democratic National Committee has sent millions of dollars to law firms that are intimately involved in the Lawfare campaign against former President Donald Trump. This is according to Federal Election Commission records reviewed by the Daily Caller. DNC has paid close to $2 million since August of 21 to Kaplan, Hecker, and Fink, LLP, for legal services. Now, according to the DNC's FEC filings, Kaplan, Hecker, and Fink, a founding partner, Roberta Kaplan, represented E. Jean Carroll in her sexual assault and defamation suit. See how that works?
I think Chris Plant calls it a hot tub.
Yes. They're all in the same hot tub. Well, this is not dissimilar to the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC giving money to Parker's Cooey law firm. See, it's all done through law firms. They laundered campaign donations to the Perkins Cooey law firm that then gave the money to a company called something GPS. I apologize. It's been years. And then that consulting company hired Richard Steele, the former British spy who created the fake Russian dossier against Donald Trump, right? Yep. So you've got that's how it worked then to destroy Donald Trump, and now it works to destroy Donald Trump at the DNC paying law firms that then help these people. E. Jean Carroll, who funded E. Jean Carroll's, that wasn't cheap, her lawsuit against Donald Trump. Well, the money came through the DNC to the law firm.
Fusion
One of the
GPS,
partners, Roberta Kaplan, represented E. Jean Carroll. Now, it's funny, the DNC did not pay that law firm any money right up until August 2020. The law firm was founded in 2017. They had no DNC business. Suddenly, August of 21, they get this big payment from the DNC for legal services, and that's when E. Jean, and that goes right to E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit, or at least to the firm representing E. Jean Carroll. But there's more. The DNC also paid Wilmer, Cutler, Pickering, Hale, and Dorr several $1 million for legal services in 2021, according to FEC filings. Who is William, Cutler, Pickering, Hale, and Dorr? Well, ABC News reported that Willem, Cutler, Pickering, Hale, and Dorr filed numerous amicus briefs in the United States versus Donald Trump case. That has to do with the potential criminal liability for the actions on January 6th. That is currently being evaluated by the Supreme Court. So DNC pays money to a law firm, then that law firm writes all these amicus briefs on behalf of the cause to destroy Donald Trump. Follow the money. You'll see exactly. By the way, also several alumni from William, Cutler, Pickering, Hale, and Dorr have major roles in the Biden administration, including Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas.
It's so interesting because, we have friends on our side, like Judicial Watch, so many grassroots groups or groups on the right that file lawsuits, that file freedom of information requests to understand what's going on behind the scenes, and they get hammered. They get called the worst names in the book, as though they're working to undermine democracy when they're actually just trying to bring transparency to the process. And then what is the left actually doing? The DNC is actually funding this lawfare and then shuttling folks from these law firms in and out of the administration, frankly, just like a lot of these news agencies are funneling folks in and out of the administration and back into the media seats. So it's a hot tub. It's a seething, stinky hot tub of of swamp life in D.C. and I guess New York as well. But we shouldn't be surprised that all of the lawfare that we're seeing is not just random. It is actually very well coordinated and coordinated by those trying to get President Biden reelected.
That's right. That's right. And again, you follow the money and you'll figure it all out. Eventually, of course, usually this doesn't come out until much, much later. Good work, Henry Rogers, Daily Caller. Take a look at that article. Now, we've also seen a court filing down in Florida. Julie Kelly, of course, doing great reporting on all the court filings related to Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation into Donald Trump's alleged mishandling of alleged classified documents being kept at Mar-a-Lago. Now, we've already discussed the fact that FBI agents conducting that unnecessary, unprecedented early morning raid of Mar-a-Lago were armed and given orders to use lethal force if necessary. Now, a lot of apologists for the FBI have said, "Oh, that's just standard operating procedure. It's SOP." And I say, well, I call BS on SOP because it's FUBAR, if you think about it, because they should have FUBAR. You don't know what FUBAR? Yeah,
no, please spell it out for me.
It's FUBAR BS on SOP is what I'm saying. Because, of course, it wasn't standard operating procedure because it wasn't a standard operation. And people also point out, well, the president wasn't even there, so there wasn't any concern about Secret Service. So these agents weren't really in danger, so they just used template language, but they were never actually going to do anything. Well,
no, that's not the issue.
It's not the issue, and we have new information that suggests something else. Listen to this filing now. As part of the processing of seized... wait, there's two things. I'll get to that part in a second. The first is this. The FBI had Mar-a-Lago security turn off all the internal security cameras.
You wonder why.
Well,
why would they not want that?
They claimed that it was for the safety of the agents.
Oh, please.
But I thought that their safety wasn't in question because the Secret Service wasn't there, so there wasn't any concern that they would have any sort of safety concerns, unless it has to do with their identity being revealed or something. But so why would they not want surveillance cameras as they go through the personal belongings and the closets and underwear drawer of Melania Trump and little Barron Trump? Well, he's not little. But then there's this. Remember the photographs of the classified documents? Well, they now admit in their document that as part of processing the seized documents marked classified, they photographed the documents with appropriate cover sheets added by FBI personnel next to the box in which they were located. The photographs, of course, were then leaked to the media. FBI agents, as Julie Kelly reports, found loose classified cover sheets in a blue leather-bound box in Trump's office. Then suddenly, some were attached to classified documents. Why are FBI placeholder sheets in classified discovery? That's a good question. And as Julie Kelly reported last month, the FBI brought the colored classified cover sheets to the raid under the guise of using them to substitute classified documents found within Trump's boxes. That's what the FBI originally said. But instead, the FBI agents attached those scary-looking sheets to various files and then took the photos and then linked the photos to the New York Times. So more developments there. We also, real fast, Patrice, I got to close this out, but we also have learned more about the CIA's involvement in that notorious letter involving 51 former intelligence officials lying about the Hunter Biden laptop. That's going to blow your mind, and we'll share that with you a little later in the program.
Mark Levin, weeknights from 6 till 9.
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
beyond the crimes found on the Hunter Biden laptop, probably the biggest atrocity that happened with this story in the final weeks of the 2020 presidential campaign, Patrice, is the coordinated effort to discredit and censor this story.
Yes.
And keep it out of the news, and thus keeping it away from voters so that they could be informed and educated on something that was critical to understanding who Joe Biden was and his involvement in potential illegal activity. And that's what that letter of 51 former intelligence professionals did. It interfered with the election. It interfered with the American people getting information to make an informed vote. And we already know the Media Research Center has conducted a poll, and a majority of voters would not have voted for Joe Biden had they known the details of the Hunter Biden laptop. It was direct campaign interference. And now, according to a report from the House Judiciary Committee, the Republicans in the Judiciary Committee, CIA contractors who were being paid by the federal government to work with the CIA, they were directly involved in that letter and colluded with the Biden campaign. And it gets worse than that. High-ranking CIA officials, including then CIA Director Gina Haspel, who was actually put in that position by Donald Trump.
Yes.
They were made aware of the Hunter Biden statement prior to its approval and publication. They did nothing to stop it. They knew the Hunter Biden laptop was real. And the CIA director allowed this to happen. It's a scandal beyond recognition, to be honest.
It's massive because it confirms our worst fears, which is that these agents, these people who are supposed to be protecting us as Americans, protecting our secrets from foreign adversaries, as well as, some domestic bad actors, are in fact trying to hide from the American people the truth. And it makes you question everything you know, everything you hear, everything you think is true, and you wonder about it. And going into the most consequential election in 2020, having so much a lack of information about the key, one of the two key contenders at the top of the ticket, it's beyond just wrong. I think it makes Americans actually really hate the swamp, but also feel so disempowered, because even if if Gina Haspel, put in her position by President Trump, could know that this was going on and still be mum, then it makes you wonder, who could you trust?
Right.
Who is actually reliable? Who is actually trustworthy? And what ends are they working towards? Not America, not for the good of the American people.
Yeah, listen, this whole idea that the Biden laptop was Russian disinformation was a lie. It was a lie manufactured by the Biden campaign so that Joe Biden could have that lie in his back pocket when he went into the debate.
President Trump. Yes.
And he used it, which, by the way, I sure hope this comes up in the debate tomorrow. What are the odds that the moderators, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, will bring this up and challenge Joe Biden on that lie?
They don't have to. President Trump can bring it up himself and should. I would love to see him just go every answer for 5 questions in a row. Oh, about that Hunter Biden laptop. Oh, about that Hunter Biden laptop. Oh, about that. I mean, he has that opportunity to do that.
Well, sure. If they don't do it, he will need to, and they probably won't. You're right. But they knew it was a lie. And this lie was supported by the CIA director.
Yes.
And it was created by the Biden campaign, but co-signed by people who were on the CIA payroll. So this is the CIA engaging in election interference and disinformation of an American election. We know they do this in other countries.
Not a foreign, but here.
Of course they do this in other countries. But they have done it in our own country against a sitting president of the United States. And I just want to reiterate, the American people, American voters, cast their votes for president without having a full set of facts in front of them because their own CIA and their own government participated in a lie and a cover-up that was then used to censor reporters and journalists. The domino effect of this this psyop, this CIA operation against our own people and against our own election is the stuff that should bring down the entire Central Intelligence Agency, frankly.
Well, I mean, this is what you see in a spy movie, and you think, oh, that could not happen in my government, could it? But this is absolutely what happens every day.
Yeah, sadly, it sure does. We gotta leave it
and only
there.
Because they did not want him to drain the swamp. This is exposing the swamp.
That's how afraid they are of Donald Trump and you, the people who support him.
Now
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37. It's O'Connor and Company on this busy Wednesday morning with lots of stories to cover for you. So keep it here so you don't miss a thing. And if you have to go somewhere else, we'll make sure you subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss a thing. Coming up at 7:05, Angela Morabito, Defense of Freedom Institute, talk about those two judges that just stopped this illegal, unconstitutional student loan bailout scheme of Joe Biden's. It's really just a way of using tax dollars that we don't even have to buy votes that he's never going to get. At 8:05, Riley Gaines from yesterday's big rally in D.C. to try to protect women's sports. She's also got a brand new book out, and we'll talk about it. And at 8:35, London Roberts. She's the mother of the grandchild that family man Joe Biden refuses to even acknowledge. Well, that's a lot coming up. Patrice Onwuka, it's good to have you here on a Wednesday for our vacationing colleague, Julie Gunlock. Thanks for being here. And joining us right now is Cal Thomas, who finds himself in the home of half of the Godfather 2 film, where Michael Corleone, for the original Godfather, where Michael Corleone is exiled to Sicily, the home country, to wait out the criminal investigation into his murder of a couple of people in that restaurant in the Bronx. Cal, are you walking through Francis Ford Coppola's sets there while you're in Sicily?
Well, I'm here on a fact-finding trip, Larry, as usual, because, you can't write off a vacation, as I've told you before.
Sure.
But no, actually, I'm here for a wedding. Not mine, but a friend who I'd met a few years ago at the high school where both my wife and attended. Now, there's a 50-year gap between when we were there and when she was there. But she invited me to be the officiant at the wedding. So I'm going to do something I've never done before and perform a wedding ceremony. How cool is that?
Very
wow.
cool.
Now, when you say perform a wedding ceremony, will there be jazz hands and choreography involved?
Well, I'm not in charge of that, but I think there's going to be a lot of Italian people around.
Well, this is great, and this will be. Sicily is beautiful. I have a dear friend who just returned from Sicily and couldn't stop talking about it. So enjoy yourself there.
It is beautiful. No question about it. And a lot of Americans here, there's nothing like going to another country and seeing a T-shirt that says Brooklyn on it.
Nice. Hey, Cal, real fast, the Julian Assange has worked out a plea deal. He won't serve any more prison time. He's a free man. What to make of Julian Assange? My instinct is that, our military and our government, they do have to have secrets to be able to protect us and engage in some of the important things that they do, especially at a time of war, which is we were engaged in combat when WikiLeaks published Edward Snowden and Bradley Manning's illegal leaks. But at the same time, if the New York Times or the Washington Post had done the exact same thing, there would have never been any criminal charges against them.
Well, Larry, you and I are probably old enough to remember the Pentagon Papers and Daniel Ellsberg. It was different then because those leaks were about how our government was lying to us about the Vietnam War. In this case, I think Mike Pence is right, who put out a statement and said that releasing or leaking those documents that Assange did put lives at risk. CIA agents, other people working undercover for the United States abroad. So I think that, you could go either way on this, but and the government likes to stamp a lot of stuff secret and not tell the people what's going on. But I just, since I don't know who or if anybody was put in jeopardy, I think we ought to err on the side of caution.
So, Cal, switching gears just a little bit, tomorrow is the big presidential debate. And Larry doesn't think it's going to happen. I think it will. And you probably think it will, so much so that you put out a column recently with the questions you would pose to both of the candidates. Can you walk us through some of those key questions, and how do you think they might answer them?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if both Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, who have been highly critical of Trump ever since he came down the golden escalator, whether they're really fair to both sides. I tend to doubt it because of their bias. But some of the questions are rather obvious. I mean, Mr. President, you said you couldn't do anything about the border unless Congress passed a bill, and all of a sudden you're issuing executive orders. What's that about? And what is your motivation behind this? And for Trump, I would say, Mr. Trump, why do you continue to call people names? How helpful is that? But I think the ultimate question that I would love to hear asked, could one of you say something nice about the other without getting into any personal things? I mean, is there anything you actually like? He's a fellow American after all. Say something nice about him. So, Trump could say, well, I like the president's aviator glasses. And Biden could say, well, I like the architectural triumph of Mr. Trump's hair.
Well, I don't know if that's really nice, actually, now that I think about it. I mean, I would think Biden would say,
it's probably the best we could hope for.
I think Trump's got a beautiful wife, and I'd love to be able to sniff her hair one day. Maybe that would...
that would
suffice.
Larry. Very good.
Buonasera, arrivederci. Enjoy the olive oil and the pasta and all the red gravy.
Grazie.
Cal Thomas. Walking in his great-grandfather's footsteps there in the old country before they came here to Ellis Island, got shot up with all the vaccines, and then wreaked havoc on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, creating a criminal crime syndicate that continues to this day. A lot of people don't know that about Cal Thomas's origins. There you have it. I have a feeling after saying that I'm going to be sleeping with the fishes tomorrow. It's 6:43. Yesterday, we had Nick Minnock on from WJLA Channel 7. He's just won 3 Emmy Awards for his investigative reports
wonderful,
covering Loudoun County and other parts of Northern Virginia. Now, we mentioned during that interview that the Loudoun County Public Schools filed an FCC complaint against WJLA.
Yeah.
This is because of the investigation into the school system withholding information from parents about fentanyl overdoses.
Yes.
And about spending that went on in the school system, as well as the use of taxpayer dollars for Democrat junkets of the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors. So, of course, they try to intimidate the reporter by trying to go after the FCC license of the local broadcast network.
My goodness.
It's despicable,
it's nasty.
Absolutely despicable. Well, FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr has responded to this now, saying Loudoun County Public Schools have a history of sweeping misconduct under the rug and keeping parents in the dark. Now they want the FCC to censor a news station for shining a light on their activities. He says, I am a no, and the FCC should dismiss this filing without delay. Meanwhile, there's a write-up here. Luke Rosiak has written this up at the Daily Wire if you want more details about how Loudoun County Public Schools, once again, using your tax dollars and focusing on silencing reporters and broadcast entities for criticizing them, and not even criticizing them, just revealing what they're doing and what their activities are, and trying to get the school superintendent to go on the record and actually answer questions because he's, a public servant. And they're trying to silence them and censor them. And this is sort of part and parcel to how they operate out there, Patrice.
Well, it's not just them, but yes, absolutely, Loudoun County. The point of local media and investigative journalism is so that we can understand as citizens and taxpayers what is going on in our schools, what is going on with public officials, so that we can make a decision about whether we want to continue to see them in office making the policies and driving the environments where our children are learning and that we're living in. So it's not surprising they don't want transparency, because they don't want parents to know until policies are finalized and until the wheels are already in motion. Good on Nick. I hope that the WJLA continues to stand behind him, that Sinclair Media, which owns, I believe, WJLA, stands behind them, and that they stand up to what is absolutely just it's just abuse of the system and covering up wrongdoing. That's all this is.
Yeah, 90 seconds left here, and I want to get to one other issue with Loudoun County Public Schools in that they voted yesterday, the school board did, in adopting a new cell phone policy that requires middle and high school students to leave their cell phones in their locker. And this is a mixed bag. I understand that those phones are a distraction and have no place in the classroom in terms of students scrolling and playing on social media when they should be focusing. But something tells me there's something else at play here. I don't think the teachers want their political rants or other misdeeds and misbehavior in the classroom to be recorded and then publicized to the rest of the world. Maybe I'm cynical. Maybe I'm paranoid. But
cynical.
I think that's what's really at play here.
I would like to believe that that I actually think it is just that it is distracting. How many videos are there of capturing the wrongdoing that then these teachers and the crazy gender ideology that they're pushing down that then gets picked up by libs of TikTok, which is great content, but compared to the disruption in the classroom, the bullying, the back and forth that goes on, it obviously is very difficult to teach with phones in their hands. That said, you gave these kids for 2 years iPads and told them to do everything online all the time. It's kind of hard to pull the horses out of the gate at this point.
You got them addicted to their devices. That's a good point. Also, by the way, last night several people complained that Loudoun School Board member Dina Griffiths, she's the one who's been under fire by the other members of the school board. That's why we like her. She didn't shake hands with a pro-Palestine student when they were graduating because they were wearing keffiyehs, and they were very upset that she didn't do that. And, their priorities are really exactly where they need to be out there in Loudoun County still. All right, it is 6:52.